on this, or should I pop into global grants quickly?
Generally, for the district to not make you aware of the process, but at least include you as a recipient, they expect the club or the club members are donating to the foundation. Is that correct?
Yes, we don't absolutely require that, but when we sit down and look at the applications, that is one thing we look at, because if people don't give money, we don't have money to give away. And I think during this year of pandemic, that's going to be a real issue, because we've all been focused locally, not on the foundation.
Yeah, see,
but
that's
over time,
that's one of the issues that we're dealing with right now. We have not had a history of donation to the foundation generally with our club, and the leadership now is trying to work on ways to make that start happening. Okay.
Yeah. So have you, does your district governor, when they come and talk to you, do they explain anything about that? Or do you have their foundation chair that comes and talks to you? They probably would be happy to do that.
They have not to this point, although the district governor did in his last meeting with us, ask us what we were going to donate this year, did ask us for a commitment. So that's what spurred the conversation, and we're working towards that now.
Okay.
Hey, this is Len. They also recently had a kind of show and tell, combining 4 districts around the border. A couple to main one from here, from Sonora and Baja, and then some American districts. And they showcased some projects that were being jointly done, funded by district funds primarily, and some were global grants as well. Since our club is relatively new and kind of self-generated, we have tended to focus everything on our local area to this point. In Mexico, organizations tend to be top-down driven. And of course, we also have a language issue and a cultural issue in dealing with our district. So it's communication is a little more difficult here than primarily because we're a square peg in a round hole here.
Well, you certainly can get together as you get to know other clubs, and as your presidents intermingle at their training and everything, you can certainly do joint projects with other clubs in your district. But to do global funds, you definitely do need outside help. So let me go down there. So global grants really are larger projects, and they have to be at least $30,000. So that doesn't mean you have to put in $30,000, but the total project with matching and everything has to be $30,000. And just so you do know, the matching of the DDF funds is going from 100% by the World Fund down to 80% come July 1. So because we've done over the last several years such a good job internationally in coming up with all of these great projects that have been funded, they're worried, a little bit worried that they're going to run out of money. And so they're scaling down their matching. But in general, what you have to do is, if you're looking at your wastewater, you look at the project, you look at the local community, how you're going to build it, you get the experts, you identify what area of focus it's in, and then you find an international partner. You will have to find somebody outside of Mexico. So, American clubs are certainly the main partner that you can get, or Canadian. I know that we have a lot of Canadian clubs that go down and do work in Mexico too, and South America. Community assessment is the biggest change, in my opinion, of what the global grants did a few years ago. And that gave everybody the biggest headache for a while, because instead of just going in to fund a bunch of money into an area, they said, no, you need to go in and you need to find out what they really want, not what you think they want. So the community assessment is somebody going into that area saying, this is what they really need. for your project, it sounds like it's a no-brainer, that it's definitely needed. So it's probably not that big a deal. But you do go through that process and you do involve the community, because if you do some kind of mechanical work, like some kind of a plant, who's going to keep it up? Who's going to, be the mechanic to maintain it so it really is sustainable? And that's the biggest issue with global grants. And so there's a whole, you could probably do 2 or 3 hours on this once you get into it. And I'm not gonna bore you with it now or take up the time, but there is so much information out on Rotary International under Foundation that you can find, or I'd be happy to come back and talk to you. So, let me go back. Are there any questions here? I know we only have a certain amount of time and we've got about 5 minutes left. So what other questions can I answer for you on global grants or district grants?
Diane,
Go ahead, Sunny.
I have a quick question. Would you be willing to email me your slide show
Yes,
presentation?
actually, you've got them. I think
We have them.
Miriam
Miriam
has.
and I have them. Uh-huh.
Okay,
We
And
can
you'll
post
forward
them
those to me?
on Slack.
Sure.
that would be great. Thank you.
We'll post them on Slack. And Diane, we did have a sort of like a seminar provided by the district, and it was provided in English. It was a translation, but I do agree that once you try to do a translation between languages, it gets difficult. In translation, sometimes you do miss the meaning of things because you're translating context. But they try, and being part of almost bilingual, I try to get both of this of both sides, and they try to make a very good presentation in terms of showing us how to log into their website, how to do the data entry, but to me it was not quite clear how can we as a small group be able to qualify or to apply for the grant at a district level or a global level. So the information was there, but sometimes it's a little hard to understand the whole context in terms of saying, okay, as a small group, how can we be allowed to apply for this district grant or for this global grant? What it takes for us to be able to do that.
We are pretty forgiving because we have some clubs that only have 9 or 10 people, and they're in very small communities, or they're in a very, very focused area, but they do have projects and they can't give a lot. But even if you give, say, $500, the district should, I don't know anything about the dollar amounts that you're talking in your district, but I would think if you start with small projects and they get to know you, that they can do that, that they would match a small amount for you. The larger amount, again, your club doesn't have to necessarily give a lot of money. It just needs to give some money, but you need other clubs. So I would look for another partner in Mexico maybe, and also find 1 or more clubs in America to join with you on your global grant. And I'm happy to, and Tony, you and I maybe can do a presentation to some of the clubs up here. And because one of the biggest things for our district, we do a few global projects, but not many. And we're trying to ramp that up. I'm really trying to get clubs more interested in doing that. But the biggest issue for us as a global grant is knowing your partner. So the more we get to know other clubs like yours, who know there's a need, who know, local people to deal with, then I think we have probably a few clubs that would be happy to deal with you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the club who would like to ask a question to Diane right now? Thank you so much, Diane. It's been Mike, I think you're muted.
I'm okay, thanks.
No, I think Glenn had his hand up.
Glenn?
Yes, typically, going back to district grants for a second, typically in district grants, do you kind of try and get other clubs to sign on to your application process? Is that kind of how it works? So that you get, so let's say some, as you were mentioning, some clubs here in, we have a good partner over in, on the other coast, San Felipe. And so could we combine, have them support our project, that kind of thing? Is that typically what you do, is try and build a coalition, if you will, to take it to the...
Absolutely, absolutely. We have some clubs that are really good about working together and others not so much, but the more you can do that, it makes your members happy, you get to know more people, and you accomplish something. It's easier to do it with many hands. So, I mean, it makes organization maybe a little bit more difficult unless you're just, sharing money. But no, absolutely, I would get as many people as you can involved, get other organizations. Even if you have a Lions or a Kiwanis or somebody there, see if you can do a joint project with them, or a Boys and Girls Club, or, I don't know what's in the area, but other nonprofit organizations are also great partners. But definitely, if you can get other clubs involved, maybe you can go help them on a project and they can help you on a project. So sharing definitely makes it easier. We have some clubs that do multi-club, multi-year projects. If they're doing, for instance, a large all accessible park, and we've done several of those, then they'll do, the dirt work the first year, they'll put in the sod and a few pieces of equipment the next year, and they'll do more equipment the next year. So it can also be multi-year, even if it's just a district project, if they allow it. So let me, before I let you go, let me just run through my slides again, just so you know what's there. And I won't talk about them, I'll just show you what's there. So that's community assessment. So this is one of the parks that we did, and one of our small clubs did. And then there's other different things on global grants that you can fund. And this is our district. So our district has a specific foundation area. If you go into District 5010 and you're just curious, go to District 5010 and look around our foundation area if you want information, if it's easier for you. We have all of these. We're really trying to make the website usable. And then these are all just the recognition. And there's my information if you have any questions. So thank you. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you very much for this information, and hopefully we'll probably schedule another presentation so we can give
That's
this
fine.
continuance and training ourselves and being able to bring more help to these communities that are in so much need. And already our members are very active in terms of their projects, and their hearts are in it. So thank you so much for this presentation. We really appreciate it.
One of these days I'll come down and do it in person.
You'll be more than welcome.
That would be great.
You'll be more than
Just so
welcome.
everyone knows, Miriam recorded the presentation so we can show it to the people that weren't here. And I'm sure we'll be reviewing it again and again and again, because it's a lot of information and very good and very useful. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, all of a sudden I thought this was, yeah, it's been very good and very useful information, and it really gets us started in the direction we need to go. So we really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you, Tony,
Thank
for
you.
getting her
Thanks,
here.
Diane.
You bet.
And
My
now,
pleasure.
thank you.